Hi, I'm Jane King, and this is New to the Street in person back here at the NASDAQ market site in New York City. This show is all about public, private, and blockchain companies, how the CEOs, the founders, and the innovators bringing you lots of opportunities to consider. Here we go. Acurex Pharmaceuticals is a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company focused on developing new antibiotics for difficult to treat infections. And with me is the CEO, David Lucci. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Great to have you here. And I know you've got this new clinical trial coming up where you're looking to enroll 36 patients required for the independent data that you need. So when do you expect that to happen and then to make a further decision on what's next?
Sure. So the phase 2B clinical trial is ongoing now. We expect to finish enrollment by the end of this year. It's one of three what we would call significant value inflection points the company has for the second half.
Okay, but that would impact the stock price of the company.
Absolutely.
So in the second half of this year.
Yes.
Now, we were talking a little bit about the Pasteur Act.
Yes.
Tell me what that is and how that might impact your business.
So the Pasteur Act is in Congress. It's got bipartisan support. And what it does is it incentivizes the development by incubator companies like ours to develop antibiotics to treat life-threatening infections, which is what we do. And the Pasteur Act will grant a minimum of $375 million from Health and Human Services to each sponsor of a new class of antibiotics that treat serious or life-threatening infections. And that's $37.5 million per year minimum. So it would be absolutely tremendous for our stakeholders as a $30 million public company currently, but it would also be great for public health because it is the number one thing that Congress can do to combat antimicrobial resistance, which is described as an urgent need by the CDC and the WHO. And it will save over $2 billion over 10 years, surveys show, for the healthcare system right here in the U.S. And it's also good for patients because by stockpiling our antibiotics, say for example, patients will that have Medicare, Medicaid, and are members of the VA, they will get the drug for free. And they will get drugs that are new classes, so they won't be taking drugs that a lot of times aren't going to work because they're very old, and bacteria morphs its properties and finds a way around being killed by these older antibiotics.
Yeah. When do you expect all of that to be done? Say you get the 36 patients enrolled. When do you expect to?
By the time I'm, putting the Sunday sauce on the table for Christmas dinner, we should be all set.
Okay, well that'll be something to celebrate for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We'll have you over for that.
Oh, I'd love that. So now, if the company isn't sold within 5 years, what do you expect to happen to Acurex at that point?
So within 5 years, I would see our lead antibiotic candidate on the market selling something in the hundreds of millions. And I would see our second drug in phase 2 to treat acute bacterial skin infections caused by MRSA, which is methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. And it's very common, and it's an even bigger market than the billion-dollar market within which C. diff our lead antibiotic candidate targets.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, David, for updating us on that. And please come back when you get these results, and we'll talk about that.
My pleasure. I'll see you on Christmas.
We'll break some news. Thank you.
Thank you.
Homeowners, it's time to earn up to 30% more income on your vacation rental property and say goodbye to endless rental headaches. Maximize your profitability and time when you partner with the Compass Collection. Our sophisticated approach to bookings, marketing, and revenue management is focused on delivering the ultimate level of service and success. Let us change the way you rent and unlock the full earnings potential of your property. Contact us today for your free home revenue projection at thecompasscollection.com.
On this week's episode of The Green Revolution, we will meet the founder of Mulch Manufacturing, John Spencer. Plus, Callahan, Florida's manager, Wayne Jones.
We were the first mulch company that really figured out you could take a wood product that is not pretty in itself. So we figured, well, if we color it, make it a pretty color, not only can you have a pretty color, but you can have any color you want. Anybody want green mulch? We tried to source the color because that was the most costly part of the process. Iron oxide is the basic ingredient in the colorant. The place that manufactures colorant, most of it is in China. So after a year of purchasing from them and developing a rapport with them, we decided at their invitation to come over and look at the process. And so Ralph and I went over and saw the process that they used to make iron oxide, and that would eventually become the dye that goes on to the product. It was a very interesting trip. They were very hospitable people. They treated us very well, like kings, and it was a very interesting trip. Well, that was it. Our exercise to find a way to get the colorant on there. We looked at spraying it on the top of a conveyor as the product would go by, different kind of stirring exercises, and we found that we used a tumbling, a rotating drum, much like a rotating screen, but with no holes in it. In the middle of that drum would be spray bars, and you introduce the product in the front end of the drum and tumble it as the spray bars sprayed it when it was airborne in the tumbler, and comes out the other end all colored. Really, the very first one, after using some laboratory equipment to figure out that would work, we built a great big screen that was 40 foot long. Our complete project was that the first 1/4 of that tumbler would be a.
Lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis can be difficult to treat and debilitating for an animal's health and well-being. Take control of lameness issues and joint pain. Introducing Spring with OsteoCushion technology. With just one injection, Spring with OsteoCushion technology targets the root cause of lameness issues, joint pain, and osteoarthritis, helping animals do what they do best.
Happy is a digital wellness company that aims to help people take control of how they sleep, perform, and feel. And with me is the CEO, Jonas Stern, to update us on what Happy's doing. And I know that you've got a new distribution agreement with seniors and caregivers through the Gray Matters Alliance. So talk about that a little bit. Elaborate on what that is about.
You know, when we first launched the product, people kept coming to us and identifying use cases. And one of the early use cases that became apparent to us was for senior care and chronic care facilities. You know, people as they age, sleep becomes a very difficult thing to master more and more. And it's difficult if you need to resort to chemicals like sleeping pills, even melatonin. You know, you read recent reports, we don't even know what's in the bottle sometimes, right? And what's the appropriate dosage? So as more and more seniors started coming to us, we also found that more and more people who are distributing, not only to seniors directly, but to senior care facilities, long-term care facilities, and that's where Gray Matters came in. They came to us and they said, this is a perfect fit for our customer base. They distribute directly to seniors and also to senior care facilities. And they're using this, which is the sleep pad.
I was going to ask, like, this is a perfect intro to, so
right.
Tell me about this.
And so this is the sleep pad. As you may recall, we started with a neck band that allows you to play any one of our different signals. But it's super easy to use. It's digital and it charges. And you just simply put it under your pillow. You choose from one of the different signals that you can play, deep sleep, fall asleep. And so now seniors can really enjoy a better night's sleep without having to revert to drugs or chemicals.
Yeah, which is, you know, nice to have something more, because this is natural.
It's all natural, and you know there's obviously a cost savings. You're not going back to the pharmacy or to the drugstore to refill a prescription, but I think the bigger benefit is that there's no latent effect. You can play a melatonin signal, or you can play an adenosine signal that helps you fall asleep, and when you turn it off, you're not feeling drowsy anymore. If you take a supplement to sleep, it's metabolizing in your system for anywhere from 8 to 12 hours after you want it, which is why if you've ever taken melatonin or a sleeping pill, you wake up still feeling groggy.
So groggy, yeah, that's not always the best. So what vertical, clearly sleep is an area of growth. What verticals are you seeing opportunities for growth?
Sleep is number one. It's about 70% of our customers are using the product directly for sleep. Number two is focus, which is why we're redesigning the neck band. And if you think about being able to achieve focus and flow and remaining awake without ingesting Adderall or caffeine, those are big opportunities. And you know, even if you just start to imagine long distance trucking, opportunities in government and military, those are all big opportunities that we're chasing down.
Yeah. How are sales in terms
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. So we can edit that out.
Yeah.
I need to cough anyway,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So how are sales for the pad versus the neck band?
The pad really represents the lion's share. It's now about 80% of the sales. The interesting thing that we're finding is this is the perfect night product. The neck band is the perfect day product. And about half of the people who buy the neck band buy the sleep pad, and on our website we've got a bundle.
Yeah. Can you wash that? Or?
The outer cover is removable and washable, so that's also an innovation. So thank you for that. And I think one of the other points that I'd be remiss if I didn't mention is now, if you buy either the sleep pad or the neck band, it will be applicable to your FSA or HSA.
Oh, interesting.
And so it makes the product even more accessible and affordable to a lot of people.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the update, Yoni. Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks. OriginClear is transforming the water industry with revolutionary water treatment technology and innovative financing. And with me is Executive Vice President Kim Berenger to explain the company. And recently, the water industry achieved a status of unicorn. There have been some companies in this industry who have been unicorns, which is a private company worth $1 billion. So tell me about that, and what does that mean for the whole industry?
Hi, Jane. Thanks for having me back
Great
again.
to have you.
Hello. Yeah, it's very validating. I've only been screaming about this for 5 years. Welcome to the party. Where you been? In actuality, that unicorn was created through private venture capital. So the difference is, I think the street's waking up to the fact that this is a massive underserved business, and it's nothing more enduring. Technology can change day to day, but water is enduring. It will, it's not going to go out of style, I suspect, anytime soon. It was incubated by venture capital. There was no individual investor access. So if you and I said, look, I love this idea, I want to be involved, we're boxed out. Orange and Clear, what we're doing is the exact opposite. We recognize that in $1 trillion space, you're probably going to have more than one unicorn. This is a unicorn creating space. We want to develop the next one, hopefully, but focus exclusively on individual investors to provide kind of what I would call mainstream investors or accredited investors with the same access to the same opportunity and structured in a way that creates generational wealth. Now is quoted by Forbes Council as it's going to have the ability to create $1 trillion plus of wealth. Now, that's either going to be one individual, but what's the real benefit to that? What we believe is by focusing on the individual investor, we believe that there's a lot more impact and a lot more benefit of having $1 trillion wealth creation opportunity, and maybe decentralized water, decentralize the opportunity, create maybe 1 million millionaires. We think that's a lot more impactful.
Yeah, so just $1 trillion industry, and I guess that's what we've talked about so many times. And you've said before, water is the people's asset, so it's obviously something we need to survive. I mean, what do you mean by that? How could that benefit viewers?
Right. So the other part of your question was, how do we benefit? Well, big money is finally pouring into water. We're seeing Forbes Council say there's going to be a trillionaire created from it. We see now the first of many unicorns being created. Here's what's interesting about the company that just created a unicorn. It's exclusively in private water infrastructure. Okay. This is entirely what we do. Now, they're developmental stage, but they're going to do, I've often said, if you're Anheuser-Busch, if you're Pepsi, if you're Big Pharma, you don't need decentralized water pay per gallon. What you can do is basically construct a $100 million system, hire engineers round the clock, and you're not really a polluter anyway. Big businesses aren't. It's the small businesses that don't have access to that. So they're doing they're now in the developmental stage, what we've been already successfully doing for years, and I think that will be the benefit because the world is waking up to what we've been kind of that lone voice in the wilderness for a while. Now the world is going, oh yeah, water, that's huge. Well, it's nice to be right even if you're a little late to the game, right? Now, to answer your question about people's assets, MLPs were an instrument that was created 40 years ago, and it kind of catered to creating generational wealth for the affluent, accredited investors. It's been magnificent at doing that. It's got tax benefits. It's got income that protects against inflation. That came along when big oil was already a century old, okay? Water, again, the people's asset. If you're going directly to venture capital firms, if you're going directly to hedge funds, it's not going to be the people's asset. It's going to be VC's asset. It's going to be hedge fund asset. We're focusing entirely on creating decentralized water systems. Each one will operate like an oil well for water, okay? And by focusing on individual investors, we believe we can deliver that wealth creation opportunity, and again, decentralize it among millions of individuals, create the same wealth creation opportunity, but in a way that we think is, well, I hate to use democratic, but it is. It's a little bit more decentralized than democratic.
Yeah, well, and it definitely is an industry that seems like it's in need of disruption, so.
For sure. Here's what I think you're going to find. Now that it's being vocalized by someone outside of our kind of where we came from, water is a highly technical business. It is very technologically advanced. I don't know if you know this, but there's an absolute land boom going on right now in the United States. So I have some wonderful video I'd like to share with you about a couple of our technology wins where we've gotten some installations. One of them is in Denison, Texas, just north of the Dallas area. But from Dallas up to the Oklahoma border, there's a corridor. There's an absolute land boom explosion. Thousands of manufacturers are going to be popping up, we think, over the course of the next 10 to 20, even 25 years. Now, manufacturers can't operate where there is no infrastructure. By doing what we do, by dropping these in like the Denison, Texas location, we can create a decentralized private water infrastructure system faster than they can even put up the building. You're going to see thousands of manufacturers come back from China, land in the United States, and by doing this, we can help facilitate an American manufacturing renaissance. And that's really exciting because not only because of the capital it creates, the jobs it creates, and of course the wealth.
Yeah.
And to be the focal point of that or to help facilitate that is really an exciting prospect.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting because these companies need water and they may have to wait for years for some municipality to install a...
Think about it, right? Think about it. So we're going to build a manufacturing plant as soon as they build 100 miles of pipe.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, right? We could literally build them as fast as the building, which I think is super exciting.
Okay, so last question, Ken, just about your customers and what you have so far. How have they been? They've been happy with the service. What kind of experience have they had?
I'm so glad you mentioned that. Okay, when a 30-year veteran engineer says, "Holy cow, guys, you've blown me away. You just handed me the easy button."
Honestly, I was amazed. I was really looking for the easy button so that we can focus on doing what we do best.
You get that guy on recording saying, "Can you say that again, please?" So we've got a number of installations. North Texas, in my own area in Moscow, PA, they're putting in systems that are just changing the way people can develop property, both for the industrial and residential. Now, this is still an industrial-focused application, but I believe it'll kind of expand out into the residential home development market. When people have gotten used to having a certain way of operating and they think that's their only option, and you get the brilliance of a Dan Early coming along with a decentralized system saying, "Here you go, you're in business." And when they're impressed with that, you know you've gotten kind of the right, you've captured the right tone.
Okay, thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you.
Yep.
Secure, the true solution for your digital privacy and security. Secure is a private and secure messaging and email solution hosted in Switzerland, using proprietary military-grade encryption and Swiss privacy laws, giving you true privacy. Secure doesn't collect or sell your data and doesn't require your phone number or any personal data that hackers target. You can message and email non-secure users privately without the need for others to download Secure. Visit secure.com. Regain and protect your privacy today.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Weekly Hack. I'm Anna Berry, along with Elaine Guy, the CEO of Secure. All right, Elaine, you've said this before, and I think it needs mentioning again. Over 91% of hacks come through emails. And today we're going to speak about a business associate that told you about a client's company which was hacked through their email. Now, this is a pretty big deal. The email was asking $175,000 to be wired through the bank, and the bank completed that transfer. Oh, my goodness. So tell us a little bit about what happened and how Secure can come in with the solution.
Yeah, this is very concerning because, well, we call that a BEC, a business email compromise. I mean, I was a bit horrified when I heard that, but it does happen a lot. What happened is, while we say 91% of hacks go through email, even the back end and administrative, essentially employees' email are being read and spied on, sometimes for several months. And then at some point, they know who has access to what, whether it's a database, who does the wires, for example, to pay suppliers, what have you. So hackers come in, and essentially in this case, they took over, they spoofed the email of the controller, who's a financial, like a CFO kind of, and then essentially wired their bank an instruction to send money to a particular account. Now, banks get, hundreds of thousands of requests, not always call back. It depends the rule-based situation that you have with your bank. So it's very unfortunate. I mean, but basically they lost 175 grand. And because the email came from that company, it's hard to prove that they didn't ask for it. So we hear that a lot. This is happening more and more, and that's pretty frightening.
It is frightening, and there are solutions for this, and that's where the Secure Mail comes in. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, so the way we try to minimize at least that risk is we use Secure Send, Secure Reply, which is essentially a way to send anybody in the world an email notification for them to click in your email, which essentially they connect to our server in Switzerland. They can read an email and then use Secure Reply. That kind of thing cannot be spoofed with email phishing, as we say. And also, more importantly, that whole communication is not on the open internet and cannot be read unless you literally break to our servers in Switzerland. You have no idea about what's happening between the two people communicating. And that's how we try to protect, especially business data. We use it all the time. So we do recommend that. And of course, do any precaution that you can. Double check when you receive an email from someone. I mean, in this case, it was just somebody took over their email.
It's a very simple solution. I did it yesterday. A client asked me for W-9 and I sent it through my secure mail. Now, let's talk briefly about your VPN. I know that you recently launched it this spring.
Yeah, so that's another way to protect, let's say, and to encrypt yourself and to hide from hackers in terms of your real IP address, because all of that happens when people know your IP, which is like your address essentially. So we launched Secure VPN in early April. It's having an amazing success. I think about 25% of our new customers are buying the bundle with Secure VPN. You can go to secure.com and create your own bundle now, whether you buy 1, 2, or 3 products. You get better deals with bundles. So our VPN solution uses our own infrastructure. We do not use third-party cloud providers. That increases the privacy aspect and hopefully the security. And we only have Swiss IP addresses. And we also don't require your phone number. So when you download the VPN on your mobile device, at least nobody knows that that phone number is using the VPN. And of course, it's highly encrypted in the way that we typically do. Privacy is in our DNA. We don't have that many employees. So we eliminate the leakage from employee itself. We've been working together for 15 years, so we're very, very tight-knit. And that's also another way a company can control how information gets leaked out by checking your employees and having a culture of privacy.
Well, we just talked about 2 simple solutions today in our weekly hack, and I want you to give our viewers the promo code because I'm sure many people want to try this out.
Sure. You go to secure.com, put promo code privacy, and you'll get 15% off all our solutions for the next 5 years. If you're a business, you click on the business toggle there, and you can have the business solutions, or you can have your own domain name hosted by us and a few other features that business solutions offer.
Wonderful. Well, privacy has arrived with Secure. Always great speaking with you, Alain.
Thanks, Anna, and be safe, everyone out there.
All right. Thank you all for watching The Weekly Hack.